in the... Oh. I did not
You're
expect that.
wearing it like a sheriff's badge.
All right, we'll just close out with John. How's that? No pun intended or anything.
Very
Yes, sir. You can vote.
All right. Oh, can we put the little screen in
Oh, yeah, sorry.
the insert?
I can get it if you don't,
All right, I got it. Okay, so we'll close out with John. And there's a reason why. So it would obviously just be abbreviated. We're not going to be tested on it. It'll just be a closing thought. Just pick out some nuggets from John. I think John is a very unique gospel. And I think there's a quote in here that I included. Yeah. So we'll just jump around this presentation just to get one closing thought for you all. And I think it's appropriate. So Eusebius, our friendly church historian, he wrote about the gospel, and he says, talking about the uniqueness of it. You know, you look at the four gospels, Matthew, Mark, and Luke are all very similar, and John stands apart from them in a more spiritual, deity-minded approach to how he writes. And Eusebius said that, but that John, last of all, conscious that the outward facts have been set forth in the Gospels. So the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, and Luke had already done a decent job. Well, decent. They'd done an incredible job of setting forth the facts, outward facts in the Gospels. John was urged on by his disciples and divinely moved by the Spirit. He composed a spiritual gospel, or some would say a more spiritual gospel. And it's not to say that the others are less spiritual. It's this very unique approach that John took in his the content that was included in his writings, the perspective that he had, and the focus on the deity of Christ and the life and the anointing, and a very particular mention of it. And I think it speaks, as you take all of the Gospels in their totality, all of the highlights and the uniqueness of each one, that each contribution that they make, and they come together for a very holistic presentation of Jesus and the disciples and the work of the cross and work of the ministry. But John in particular has a few unique aspects. So it's written by most people agree, written much later than the other Gospels, probably closer to the end of the first century. The author, many again agree that John being the author, he was an eyewitness of Jesus and his ministry. So again, remember the eyewitness account and the value of that, as opposed to somebody who collected bits and pieces of history and put it together. John was there, as were of course the others, but John was there, saw it, talks about Jewish traditions. He's familiar with local geography. So it's a very down to earth and yet very spiritual at the same time. Very very unique approach to the contribution of the Gospels. We'll come back to this one. He became a devoted follower, the apostle of love, changed through a personal relationship. All right, so let's start with this too. Disciple whom Jesus loved, close to key events. Let's just read these three. Anybody want to grab 1323?
Of John?
Yes.
I can read it. Are we all figuring out 18 and 19?
Yeah, go ahead, do 1323.
Right. Now there was leaning on Jesus' bosom one of his disciples whom Jesus loved.
All right. Very good. Next one, 18:15 through 16.
John 18.
Yes.
Alright. And Simon Peter followed Jesus, and so died another. Does that say despicable?
It's like split.
Or another disciple. That disciple was known unto the high priest, and went in with Jesus into the place of into the palace of the high priest. But Peter stood at the door without. Then went out another disciple, which was known unto the high priests, and spoke unto her that kept the door, and brought in Peter.
All right, so a unique experience there. If you're reading through that, Simon follows Jesus, and so did another disciple. So usually in John, when you're referencing this other disciple, this other phantom disciple, that's John. John alluding to himself. That disciple was known unto the high priest and went in with Jesus into the palace. But Peter stood at the door without. So interesting little snapshot there of instances where John is in that close proximity with Jesus. And then the cross, 19, 26, and 27.
When Jesus therefore saw his mother, and the disciple standing by, whom he loved, he saith unto his mother, Woman, behold thy son. Then saith he to the disciple, Behold thy mother. And from that honor the disciple took her unto his own home.
Okay. So again, another very personal, close situation where John is there in a very, very personal matter. In addition to the total world-changing event of the cross, there's still Jesus' mother standing there, and the command, the request given. So I want to back up to, back to 13:23. I don't know if I've shared this before or not, but just for a moment, let's talk about this moment in time. So here Jesus predicts his betrayal. Let's back up to verse 21, and he says, 13:21. When Jesus had thus said, he was troubled in spirit and testified and said, Verily, verily, I say unto you, that one of you will betray me. And then the disciples looked one to another, doubting of whom he spake. Now there was leaning on Jesus' bosom one of his disciples, whom Jesus loved. So Simon beckons to him that he should ask who it is that should be of whom he spake. He then, lying on Jesus' breast, said unto him, Lord, who is it? So I just find it, it's comical in a sense, these little interactions with Peter, Jesus, and John. These little moments, whether they're getting ready to go into the palace there, John goes in, Peter stays out, or they're at this moment, and Simon sees the proximity of John. That's kind of the heart of my closing word to you all, is the proximity to Jesus. That personal, intimate relationship in these moments that seem mundane, minuscule, unimportant, whether it's Jesus worrying about his mom at the cross while he's literally dying, whether it's Jesus talking about who's going to be betrayed, and here's John leaning close to Jesus and Peter taking advantage of the position and saying, hey, ask Jesus since you're so close. This close personal space that John occupies, I believe, had a fundamental impact on his life and on subsequently his writing of the Gospel of John. The message that the Spirit empowers him and anoints him to write becomes a culmination. It is a culmination of the personal life that he lived with Jesus, next to Jesus. Seeing things that maybe others didn't see, getting to experience things others didn't get to experience, and most of them being very personal moments, and moments that may even seem not that big a deal, but yet you're close to Jesus, and you're hearing things and seeing things and experiencing things, and it changes, impacts him for the rest of his life and his whole perspective on who Jesus is and the work that Jesus came to do. So my little thought about leaning on Jesus. There is, okay, so the NIV says that this disciple was reclining next to him. The NASB says reclining on Jesus' bosom was one of the disciples. And what does the Amplified say? One of his disciples whom Jesus loved, whom he esteemed and delighted in. That's a unique little added description that the Amplified puts in there. The one whom was esteemed and delighted in was reclining next to him on Jesus' bosom. So the picture that I see here of John physically reclining next to Jesus is one of obviously being in someone's very personal, close space, being allowed, permitted to be there, feeling maybe possibly comfortable in that position. This isn't the first time Jesus has allowed John to be that close to him in a personal and physical way, and as he's discipling him, leading him, teaching him, and as John is following him. So when you're, have you ever been in a position where you've either hugged somebody or sat next to somebody, or maybe you hugged a little baby, and when you put your ear on someone's chest, you can physically hear their heart beating without a stethoscope. Just the ambient noise, you can hear someone's heartbeat if you get close enough. If you lay your ear on someone's chest, or you're hugging a little baby or something, you can physically hear a heartbeat. And I believe as a natural occurrence that possibly John was that close. Was he like literally laying on him? I mean, it says it was reclining on his bosom. He was laying next to him as they're kind of at supper there. Is it possible that his head was that close to his chest? Yes, it's possible. Is it possible that he physically heard a heartbeat? Like to hear Jesus' heart beating soon before it would stop beating? And if so, whether it was a physical closeness to where he heard a physical heartbeat, he was without a doubt spiritually close enough to hear a spiritual heartbeat, to hear Jesus' spiritual heart beating in his chest and it being the heart of God. You know, to hear the heartbeat of Jesus is to hear the heartbeat of God. And to be that close and to be that quiet. Now, what conditions need to be in place if you are gonna hug somebody and try and listen to their heart? What conditions have to be in place for that to work?
You got to be real comfortable with them.
Okay, comfortable, letting them into your space. What else has to happen?
Gotta be okay with it. I mean, if not, you would just push them away.
Right. Okay. Yep. You have that permissibility. What about it being quiet enough? If it's a real loud room with a lot going on, the ambient noise is going to overpower you trying to hear someone's heartbeat.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it has to be quiet enough. If everyone's rustling around, if the person that you're trying to listen to their heart is running around, you're trying to chase them down. Hey, let me listen to your heart. You're not going to get. It's not going to work, right? There has to be some stillness, some quietness, some stillness, some openness, some welcoming, some permission given, like you said. And I think it speaks very intimately and very powerfully of a close relationship with Jesus. That you can be, first of all, Jesus does give us the permission to get close to him. He is comfortable with our closeness. He's comfortable with us being in, if it was the physical analogy, being in his space. He's not going to be one who would stand next to you and feel awkward and scooch away from you and give me some space. Jesus would be probably the one who would, in the physical, maybe give you the biggest hug ever, and feel like the arms of God are wrapped around you. And in doing so, puts you in a place that cannot be manufactured. It's not fake. It's not something that you can buy, something you can pay for, something that you can arrange. It's natural and spontaneous and spiritual. That kind of closeness and that kind of encounter. And so, like I said, I think that really impacted John, those moments. Any one of those moments, being asked to go farther and the other disciples stay behind, being allowed to see things others didn't see or hear things, puts him in this locked-in, dedicated, profoundly committed condition of following Jesus and being able to hear the heart of God, being able to sense the Spirit, the leading of the Spirit, and really pressing in. All right, it's something important to point out. So when you're writing something, so you can look at any book of the Bible, but the Gospels in particular, and you find the key words that are repeated the most. What word is used the most by this author in this Gospel presentation? And in the book of John, Father, God, is used 122 times. I think that's higher of a particular word count than I think a repeated word count than any of the other Gospels of any one particular word. Could be wrong on that, but I think so. And the word believe 98 times. So if John is going to repeat those two words based on his position, his life, his experiences of a father and of believing in him, believing in God, that is a profound lesson for us. That close, intimate relationship would develop that kind of a focused written presentation. So like I said, many people think it's written later on, 85 to 95 AD is the general consensus. Some estimates broaden that out. Written in Ephesus. Heavy discourse on doctrine, relationship with God, relationship with people, and role as a mediator. Uh, 14:7, or verse 6, preceding. Jesus said unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life, and no man cometh unto the Father but by me. And then John records, verse 7, what Jesus said, if you had known me, you should have known my Father. And from henceforth you know him and have seen him. So John specifically recording Jesus' statement of, if you've seen the Father, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. And now, henceforth, you know him and you've seen him. That's powerful. That relationship with Jesus you have from now on, because you've seen me, and because I'm the way, the truth, and the life. You now know the Father and you've seen the Father. So powerful words. The content, just briefly, we'll wrap up. Very unique content. John doesn't include parables like all the other Gospels. So, it's like, why wouldn't John have parables in there? John includes only 7 miracles. Only chooses, as under the inspiration, of course, just including 7 miracles. And then he includes 7 I am statements. And then the heavy focus on the humanity and the deity of Jesus. And one of the I am statements being we just read. He has 7 of these statements throughout the book, throughout the gospel. I am the way, the truth, and the life. And no one comes to the Father but by me. So Eusebius' quote, we mentioned that. Therefore, many other signs Jesus also performed in the presence of the disciples, which are not written in this book. But these are written so that you may believe. So why did John choose his 7 miracles? That you would believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God, and that by believing you might have life in his name. So, powerful book. Just a quick rundown of the 7 miracles. Jesus is proving his deity, the miraculous power in him. He identifies with needs of the people, and specifically in areas where we have no control. So what does that, what does that have to say about the message John's trying to put out there? Content of the 7 miracles: life. Believing produces life. The highest aim of earthly life is for Christ to be our life. The message from John. So the seven miracles he includes are turning water into wine, healing the nobleman's son, healing the lame man to walk, feeding the 1,000, walking on water, blind eyes open, and the resurrection of Lazarus. So 7 specific miracles for a very divine purpose. All right. Yeah, we can wrap up there. That's pretty much the totality of it. But if anything, if I just leave with you that final message, I think that is the culmination really of all of our studies, is through the study of the Word, putting ourselves into a position of closeness, where we hear the heartbeat of God and we live a more spiritual life because of our proximity to Jesus, because of being in His presence and being changed in His presence, and following wholeheartedly after Him. It's just a beautiful picture that John paints for us. Amen?
Amen.
All right, any closing thoughts? All right, well, it's been a real pleasure to run through this semester. I do offer apologies that because of some schedule conflicts, we didn't finish everything, but it was good that we could get through what we did.
Yes, sir.
So if you have any other issues, I think all of your Populi accounts have cleared, so you should all be good to go as for this class anyways. If you have any issues, just let me know. But everything should be graded and finalized.
Yes, sir.
All right.
All right.
All right. Well, bless y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We can wrap up.
I already took test 1. I just did.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so I did test 1. I can't see my grade on test 2.
Okay.
So I'm fine with my grade on test